All right, and go.
Welcome back to our show, The Colorful Voices of Sisterhood. The topic for today is about AAPI, Asian American and Pacific Islanders, and we have a very special guest. Um, Her name is Dr. Rosita Bailey. And I will go ahead and introduce her, ladies. I mean, believe me, I tried to shrink her bio, but this is what I got here. Okay. Take care about it. Yes. She's a former White House commissioner. Rosita Billion, we believe, served on President Barack Obama's advisory board on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders for 4 years. Prior to that, she was the governor of Nevada, Bob Miller, as his special assistant, the first Filipina, first Asian Pacific person to be in the governor's office in the history of the state. Another first was when she was in Hawaii. The Hawaii governor had appointed her to the Commission on the Status of Women, the first Filipina to that commission. In Las Vegas, Manang Rosita spearheaded educational workshops and rallies, held town hall meetings, and summits for the AAPI communities. She helped organize thousands of people rallies advocating comprehensive immigration reform, facilitated free screening of hepatitis B, walked the halls of Congress, knocking on doors of senators and representatives seeking support for the World War II Filipino Veterans Equity Bill and Congressional Medal of Honor for them. She is an ordained pastor. She is an recognized educational recipient of an honorary doctoral degree in the humanities from the United Graduate College and Seminary International. Dr. Lee is also the national liaison of Civility for All in the Global I Change Nations organization under the leadership of HRH King Clyde Rivers. And recently, she received the honor of having a street named after her.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's
Welcome,
awesome.
Dr. Rosita Bewley, and yes, we are. This is such an honor to have you with us.
Thank
How are
you.
you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you. Early in the morning here in Las Vegas.
3 hours ahead. Yes.
Well, definitely, you are a trailblazer. Very proud of your accomplishments. I'm sure it was a difficult road for you, especially being the first. But good for you for making it through that and continuing to make a difference.
Yes, yes, definitely have paved the way for us. Definitely have paved. Oh, gosh.
Thank you.
Once again, welcome to our show. Educate us today how AAPI gets started.
Uh, the question again is about the AAPIs.
Yes, how AAPI gets started.
All right. It started actually way back in in the 50s, when at that time Congress was considering honoring the Asian American and Pacific Islanders. But it was not, and they had to go through the process, as you well know. There's always a process to get something done in Congress. And it took many years before the Asian Americans Pacific Islander Heritage Month was actually formed and it actually passed Congress. And it was in 1992 when President Bush signed the bill saying that there would be this month to honor the Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders.
Well, so you played an integral role in making sure this took place.
You know, I can barely hear you, but you're saying that I played a role?
An integral role in ensuring this month was recognized as a
I'm going to answer the questions as best as I can, hearing you. We're having some technical problems. I'm getting some feedback. Would you like to repeat that question again?
Yes, it sounds like you played an integral role in getting AAPI initiated and started for the United States.
Oh, definitely. For as long as I can remember, working with members of Congress, we would have to educate them about what we're all about. And a lot of this is educating people and educating the powers that be that are going to take a vote on it. And so, yes, I'm very vocal. I like to be involved. I've always been involved. I believe that you must speak up in order
Mhm.
for others to understand what your beliefs are, in order to understand what you feel the community needs. And so I've always had that attitude about me to speak up and to say what is right for the people.
Amen. Mhm.
That's good.
So what kind of challenges did you face, especially being the first one to initiate
Well, the challenge is,
recognition?
yes, the challenge is that not too many people actually educate themselves about the different cultures here in America. There are many people in Congress, even to this day, do not know about us, about the Asian Americans. Because maybe they're so busy, they don't care to know about their neighbors. And so I have to say this, they're ignorant. They're ignorant about the different cultures that make up America today. And so it's our role to educate. And that's what I love doing. I've always wanted to be a teacher when I was a kid, and I'm forever teaching.
That's great. Mana, now I told you guys later, earlier that Mana is what we call it our elder sister. So I'm gonna call her Mana because I've known her for quite a while. So my question, Mana, is as Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have played vital roles in shaping the nation, right? But in the history of the US, what are some of the contributions of the AAPI?
There are many, many contributions because we have a lot of inventors. We have doctors, we have professionals, we have teachers. As a matter of fact, some of the things that we're using today, I understand, were created by Asians and specifically by Filipinos. I'm so proud about the Filipino intelligentsia because we are such an intelligent group. We have doctors who are all over the world. As you well know, the diaspora is huge. And we have doctors in almost every country, and we have nurses in every country. We have teachers right here in Las Vegas, for instance. We have about 220 teachers that have come from the Philippines, and they have been hired by our school district to teach our young people because we have a lack of teachers here. Many, many things.
Are they allowed to teach the culture of the, are they allowed to teach the culture?
Actually, there are some restrictions. The time that they spend in the classroom is to teach the subject matter. And if within that subject matter, they can interject some of the culture, they certainly will. And I'm really glad that that is happening among our teachers.
Mhm. That's great. Because I think it gives us the chance to learn about each other's culture when we have time to interject it in there in all the settings.
I'm sorry, I
I
could
said, I
not
think
hear
it
because
gives us
you were
a
coming through
chance
garbage.
to be able to learn about the different cultures and they allow the cultures to be taught in the school. So it gives us a chance to know the importance of all of us.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. It's definitely important for all of us to get to know the other cultures that are living amongst us. I'm just going to go ahead now and just talk about our Asian American and Pacific Islanders,
Yeah.
how important it is. Did you know, and very few people know what comprises the Asian American and Pacific Islanders. We usually think, okay, they're Japanese, they're Chinese, they're Filipino, maybe Vietnamese, Koreans. But are you aware that our Asian American Pacific Islanders also includes Armenia, people from Armenia, from Bahrain, from Cyprus, from Iraq, Israel, Kuwait, Lebanon, Palestine. It's amazing. Not very many people realize that. We're so used to the Asian Americans, the Pacific Islanders, Hawaiians, Samoans, the Tongans, the Fijians. And those are the dances and those are the cultures that are presented during the month of May when this was first introduced into Congress and then passed by Congress. And so it is up to us to educate people about the whole picture, the big picture of who makes up the Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. And did you know that the back in 1587, the Filipinos were among the very first to immigrate from the Philippines? They landed in California. Actually, the reason why they landed there is that they jumped ship. They were on the Spanish galleons to work, and they decided to see the land, and then they jumped ship and made California their home. At that time, I believe California was still under the Mexican rule. They also landed in Louisiana. And so the Filipinos in Louisiana lived in the bayous. And there they went into the shrimp business because there's a lot of shrimp in Louisiana, in the Louisiana waters. And I feel very strongly that that's where our our seasoning, which is the um, bagoong, we call that the bagoong, and it's made there. And it's a paste, a shrimp paste that we use, and I especially like to use it with green mangoes. I eat that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's so many things to know about the Asians, and it's wonderful that we can talk about it. And it's wonderful that Congress actually did stipulate that they would celebrate us during the month of May.
So what do you see happening up at Capitol Hill? What do you see them doing up at Capitol Hill to recognize the month
On
of
Capitol
May?
Hill, in the month of May, they have so many summits going on right now. There's going to be a big party in DC, and almost every day or every week of this month, there's an activity. We have many, many Asian American groups there. NAFA is based there. NAFA is the National Federation of Filipino American Associations. And with NAFA, we have more than 4 million Filipinos living in America. And so, and we're spread out throughout all of the different states. But the National Federation of Filipino American Associations was established back in 1997 with its leader, Alex Esclamado. And his vision was to see that all the Filipinos living here would be empowered, and to be empowered politically, especially. And that is why we are so involved in getting out the vote. And that's one of the things that I love to do, is to educate people about the importance of the vote. And so for years and years, I have gone out and talked to organizations so that they organize themselves and they register people to vote. Of course, you need to be educated with that. So I work with the election department, and we got people to understand what it means to vote. We get them registered to vote, and we go to all different places to get this done. One of the places that we do here in Las Vegas is to go to the different markets. And Seafood City is one of the more popular places where we can get not only the Filipinos, but the that lives there. We have African Americans, we have Chinese, we have the Caucasians that live in the area. And now that we have the seafood cities here, they allow us to be in their stores to register people to vote. And we do that every day. We have groups that are stationed there and they register the people. And then we have to educate them.
Mhm.
We're on television, we're on print. We do what we can to let the public know we are nonpartisan.
Mhm.
We let, and that's very important to us. We have to be, and we are, and we believe in being nonpartisan. When you're nonpartisan, you can talk about all of the ideas, all of the ideals that both parties have. And also, of course, we have the liberals. But I have found that when people come to the markets, for instance, and we go up to them, we ask them, we have our pads.
Mhm.
We carry our pads. I'll never forget that. Clipboards. And they see us coming and they try to run away, but we follow them
So, Mama,
and we
um,
say,
since
"Can we
that
go
you have
shopping?"
lived here, since that you
You
have
know,
lived here longer in the United
well,
States
yeah.
or in America, what challenges did you face as being an Asian woman? Or
Oh,
should I say, challenges for AAPI women in the US?
all right. I personally didn't feel that many challenges, but there are challenges because especially for the women of color, if you're darker in skin color, it does affect how people react to you. And and for some reason, well, for instance, I'm Filipino. Let me talk about Filipinos, okay, for this thing. Because my skin is darker, I'm what they call kayumangi, darker skin. And then there's a lighter skinned Filipino, right? And so that's the part that where I felt some prejudice because the lighter skinned women as a child, and then growing up in my teens, being exposed to some Filipinos who were lighter skinned, for some reason they felt superior to me because I was darker skinned. And so naturally, you try to clean your face, wash your body to see if you can get any lighter to be accepted, right? As a child, you don't know these things, but that's a challenge. So if I find it a challenge in our community, what about the others where the whiter you are, supposedly the better you are, but it's not true. Does that answer it?
Oh, yes.
Yes, and I'm glad you say that.
And I think it's important for us to really say what AAPI is. What does AAPI stand for? We keep saying AAPI, there's probably listeners that don't know what it means. So it's American Asian Pacific Island.
It stands for the Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, and they have now included Native Hawaiians.
Oh,
Mhm.
Okay.
that's great.
I'm sorry?
That's a good one, Madam, that we were able to add one more, which is the Native Hawaiian.
Right.
But my question also is though, they're all part of Asia. What's the connection? Because they're just part Asian also. So what's the connection between AA and PI? You know what I mean? Yeah.
What is the connection?
Yes.
Is that your question? Yeah, because when they decided to honor
Mhm.
the Asians comprised a whole lot of countries, many, many countries. And they couldn't name each of the countries in that sentence when when they're honoring us or acknowledging us.
Mhm.
And so they brought it down to the Asian Americans, and the Asians are we have the Middle East. Let me just get so that I can let you know about that. We have the oh, I was writing and writing and writing. We have the East Asians,
Mhm.
the West Asians, we have the Southeast Asians,
Mhm.
we have Central Asians. So let me just go through that really quick. It includes Native Hawaiians, Samoan, Tahitians, Guamanians, Fijians. We also have the Indians, Bangladesh, Sri Lankans. We have Filipino, Cambodian, Vietnamese, Lao, Indonesians, Thai, Singaporeans. We have let's see, I think I said this earlier, the Armenians, Bahrains, Cyprus, Georgia, Iraq, Israel, Jordan, Kuwait, Lebanon, Syria, Turkey,
Wow,
Yemen.
that's a
Did you
big
read?
population. I
Yeah,
didn't realize.
Indians,
Yeah. India.
India.
So
That is huge. That's
yes.
huge.
So people, when they say Middle Eastern, they think it's Africa. But I study it's not only Africa, it's part of Asia. And my grandfather, he immigrated from Jordan. When you say Jordan, like, yeah, Asia is part of me. Like, yeah. A lot of people think Middle East is East Africa, but it's not really East Africa, it's part of Asia. Mhm. I have some Asian in what that is now. Yeah, yeah, my grandfather said, Asia to be Jordan. Yes. Yes, and also thank you for sharing the dark skin, how we treat people, things only for African Americans that it be treated because the color it exists everywhere. Even in our country in Ethiopia, they treat you differently. Even your parents treat you differently.
Because you're lighter, or because you're darker.
No, they treat you better when you are lighter.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Because my grandmother, she used to call my brother like, if me and my brother go together, you will not say this is your brother. And my grandmother, she used to call him all the time. Yeah, and she used to call him name. So,
Wow. Yeah.
yeah.
Because there, I would have thought it would have been the opposite. That it's better to be darker than lighter.
It's everywhere.
We're here. You like it when you're darker. That's what I've noticed.
No,
But Filipino,
yeah.
No.
I'm like her. I have to work harder. I have to prove myself more. Have to do a whole lot more being out because I am focused anymore. But I like how she talked about, she was a voice, not just for herself. She was a voice for everybody.
Yeah.
So when she went out, she fought for her whole
Yes.
not just
Not just her.
that's amazing. And to get the education now, how do we get it back to the generation behind us?
Yeah. And I love the voice, having a voice, how important that vote is.
Yeah,
To educate them on that vote, because voting
is
is
important.
important, because we mentioned Stacey,
Abram.
Abrams
Mhm.
last week on the difference she made in the whole state of Georgia,
Mhm.
where she's absolutely right.
Mhm.
Getting your, I don't want to say your people, but getting the American Asians together and vote, because that makes a difference on the laws, who's running an office. I mean, who's really dictating what's going on.
And not waiting till the month for voting. They're voting. They're registering people voting all the time and educating people about voting. That's so important.
yeah, and that's what we do. We have the fill on the code.
Yeah.
But let me just clarify something when I said here in the color. I guess I'm just speaking with Filipinos. A lot of us don't want to be under the sun. We don't want to be, but Americans, they're like our color, darker too. So that's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, Mama.
Occasionally they do go to some the beach, the tan. And if you look really dark skin is beautiful. You will not expect, but some you will not expect. Same time, for some reason, I think our mentality is which when we come to the beauty, we see different. It just
We forget about the horror. We forget about the horror.
yeah.
Also, I would really like to point out what you said, Dr. Lee. You say about not knowing our neighbor who they are. And I think Asia and Africa, we have some similarities that we go to our neighbor. Sometimes you're like, we don't get invited. We just go, check, say hi, how you doing? You bring food, or if they have food, you go. You're just making food. It's like your house. So I think it's very important for Americans to adapt to the love, the care we have for one another as neighbors. And we really like, sometimes I want to go to neighbor people like taking food. I just say like, why you here? You know, just that the culture that and here in the United States they have from another country. But as we are immigrants, we have that what we hold dear. That is the value that humanity and us. And it is very important for people to love one another.
Yes.
So we are respecting each other's culture.
Culture,
You know,
yes.
we have learned, respect your culture because that's what they do. You know, I may not eat God, who's not that else. But that doesn't mean that we can't, you know, be together.
Yeah.
It's just kind of understanding and knowing the culture. Now that I
Exchanging. It's like it's exchanging. You know, yeah, we have to have the boundary to not cross people to know one another. But again, American, African, or a lot of immigrants have similarities in the love that we kind of open the door to people.
We are family oriented.
Yes.
And I think that's what makes it unique for being in America is you have all these different cultures that bring that uniqueness to America. So I would really love to know what did the American Asian or Pacific Islanders, what uniqueness did they bring here to America that is just so American that people don't realize that it came from the islands or from Asia.
Okay, Manang.
I did not hear your question.
Okay, her question is again.
So, you know, we're all unique. Our cultures have a uniqueness that brings it to America that makes America different. So, what did American Asians or bring to America now considered so American that people don't realize it came from the Asian culture?
I'm so sorry, ladies, but you're coming through garbled.
Can I have repeat one more time?
Okay, can you hear me now?
A little better.
So there's a
I,
that cultures bring to America that makes America so special because we have all these different cultures. So what has, you know, American Asians or Pacific Islanders bring to America that is so ingrained in America that people don't realize that's where it came from?
it is, and this is what I'd like to express. It is our, for the Hawaiian people, for the Pacific Islanders, what we bring is the aloha spirit. Aloha meaning, and I'll express that, the first three letters of that word, A-L-O, means in each other's presence, face to face. And the last two letters, H-A, is ha, which is the breath of life. So in each other's presence, we share the breath of life, which is what we do. We bring our customs, our beautiful dances and songs. We share all of that with all of you. And from Hawaii, we greet you with the lei, the floral lei, which is a symbol of love, because we have love within our hearts and love to share with everyone. And so not only that, but it is our spirit of giving, our hospitality, our sharing our food, our sharing our homes. We welcome you into our homes and share that with you and share our families as well. So there's a lot that we as Pacific Islanders and Asian Americans bring to America. our inventions that we have presented. We have beautiful movie actors now who have won Academy Awards. We have teachers who are teaching in Harvard and Yale and all of those prestigious schools, MIT. The genius of the Asian mind is something to behold. And not only that, but we bring the love of God. We bring the love of God to all of you. And that is why one of my, I am a pastor, but one of the things that I like to share with everyone now, and it is a priority, is to bring out civility amongst all the people, because we all can share civility, and that is the health, communication health. And so what I do is we go out and we have workshops, we have meetings, we talk about civility amongst ourselves, and especially among the legislators. I was in Carson City here in Nevada with the legislative session, during this legislative session, and I could see that we really need to practice civility amongst ourselves, because we need that love, that ability to have dialogue. Even though we might have differences, we can sit down and have calm and have dialogue one with the other. And so that has been my priority, to spread that around the world, not only in Nevada, but throughout the world globally. And that's what I intend to do.
Yeah, and I love that when you're talking about, sitting down and having the dialogue, because there's so much that each culture can bring to a table of discussion, and so much understanding that needs to take place. So I think
Yes.
every chance you have an opportunity to talk about your culture, I mean, people around you want to know it and hear it. I know I do personally too.
Yes. There's so much to share.
There's
There really
so
is.
much to share.
And I loved listening about the indigenous people the last week from you when you were explaining that. And that
Yeah.
was wonderful. I haven't had a chance to hear the other women, but I do kudos to all of you for having this program so that we can understand one another better. And thank you to Agnes for inviting me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, thank you. But I have one more question, Manang. During your service under President Barack Obama's administration, um, the I know that you have accomplished a lot of things. I know that. But what is one thing that you are most proud of?
It's so difficult because during President Obama's term, his administration accomplished a whole lot for the Asian Americans. One of the more important ones is the Obamacare, having health insurance, because there are so many underprivileged, underserved people who had no insurance. And, we have to keep our health, right? But many times we get sick, but we could not go to a doctor. We could not go to the hospital. We couldn't go to clinics. We couldn't go emergency because we didn't have the pera, the money to pay for that. And so with this Obamacare, he opened it up so that more and more people could afford health insurance. That was really important. Protection of civil rights. He made sure during his administration that we, people of color, Asian Americans, African Americans, the whites, that we had the ability to be able to know that our rights as American citizens or as people living here in America had rights to live fully, to live in health, to live in good spirit, and to know that we have the protection. So, let's see, what else did we have? Expand. We expanded the healthcare. Oh, we also have, I can go on and on and on. We help the people as far as immigration was concerned. We help the students. We help the people from other countries that were brought in as children. We call them the DACA. We brought them made it allowable for them to stay and to get their education. And then we also help people to work towards getting their green card. All of these immigration issues that we had during the Obama administration, we helped thousands of people. We provided also millions of dollars to help the underprivileged. These are things that people don't remember or they don't want to remember, maybe, but we also helped the Filipino World War II veterans. We made it possible for them to have their families come and help them here in America. There were some instances where they had been waiting for years, 15, 20 years, to get their visa to come over.
Yes.
Well, with special bill, we allowed for the family member to come from the Philippines to come here to America to take care of the Filipino World War II veteran, their grandfather, their uncle. And that was important to us. We also helped to actually honor our Filipino World War veterans. They fought this in the same war. They were, President Roosevelt at that time said we needed help during the war. And so they were put into the army. They got the same bullets that the American soldiers had. And they were promised that they would get benefits, the same benefits that the American soldier was getting. But in 1946, it was rescinded and benefits stopped. So I and others had been working to get some of these benefits restored. And it's taken a long time. It's taking a long time for it to happen. But we know that in the hearts of our veterans, in the hearts of the families of the Filipino World War II veterans, that they loved America enough to fight for America so that we had our freedom. And yet they were turned against.
Yeah.
So I'm still fighting. We're going to try to repeal the Rescission Act. And but those are some of the things that I like to educate people about and get the support of our senators and of our representatives so that that can happen. But there's so many things that Asian Americans can be proud of. We have contributed to this country. We have spent our money here. The economy is great because Asians like to spend their money on good things. They like to spend their money on beautiful homes. They like to spend their money on education. And so we are contributors of the economy.
You are such a phenomenal woman, Manang. I mean, you have helped a lot in our community, not just in our community, but as a whole. Yeah.
So I
That's
really
a-
love the fact that you worked hard to get the World War II veterans recognized, because I know in Native culture during that time frame, we were not citizens either during the war.
Right.
We our code talkers really helped save the war because of the code that was unbreakable. So
Yes.
it's good to know that you guys are fighting. It's sad that you guys have to fight for what was promised to them. But I'm glad you're out there fighting for them, because otherwise people wouldn't be fighting for them to get the benefits restored to them. So thank you for doing that.
I remember when I was still in Utah, Manang, as a chair of the NAFA, National Federation. Yeah, we were able to get our senators and congressmen sign to get their signatures, as we were doing like 5 years ago, I think. So
Yes. I remember that because I went to Utah.
Yeah.
We did ask Congress to give our living Filipino World War II veterans the Congressional Gold Medal. And it meant for us to make calls because these congressmen and senators, many of them were not born. They were born way after or didn't even know the history. And again, education, education, education. And I love doing that because, when I see a senator, and they say, "Really? They fought for us, for America?" And I say, "I'm sorry, sir, that you don't know about it, but you should know about it. So let me tell you."
Yeah.
And then I sit down and I tell them the history. But it's embarrassing. I think it's embarrassing that they don't know.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I would like to see happen, and we are working on it, on the Phil Vet rep that I belong to, the committee, we are putting that in the curriculum so that people will understand and the children will know more about how Filipinos helped in the World War II and made it possible for us to win the war in the Pacific. So that's important. I've lived a long time, but I'll continue to serve. I'll continue to do what I can, as long, and Heavenly Father is very good. Heavenly Father has given me good health so that I can do this. And I'm grateful for that. I'm really grateful for that.
So what do you feel is probably your next challenge that you want to tackle?
Well, like I said earlier, the next challenge is to get people to understand about civility, because it's so important, that we work together. Civility, after all, it's when you think about it, it's doing unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? And also following the commandment. The greatest commandment is to love God, love yourself, and your fellow man, your neighbor. And when you do that, and you really, truly, truly understand what love is, then you will have peace. And you will have peace in the workplace, you have peace in your family, you have peace wherever you go. And that's my challenge, is to get that education into the systems of education, the systems of government, the systems where people will hear, they will feel in their hearts, and get to know to share the love of God. And that's what I'm all about.
That's powerful.
One more question, Mana. How does it feel to have your own street named after you?
That came as a complete surprise to me. And I didn't know how to feel, to tell you the truth. I said, "Really?" Because I saw it in paper when a friend had sent this record to me, and he asked me. He says, "Manang, is this you, Rosita Lee Avenue?" And I looked at it and I said, "Really? I didn't know." And then so we investigated, and we found, yes, it is me that this street was being named after. And it was the Uncommons Development Company here wanted to name at least 5 streets for representatives of the Jewish community, the African American community, the school district, Asian American community, uh, Hispanic community. So I said, "Well, how did they choose me?" I was really humbled. I was really humbled when I found out that it was me that they were naming the street for. And what they did is that they had gone to UNLV, and they created a search committee. And the search committee then looked up records, interviewed people, made up lists and lists and lists of names for all of these communities. And they ended up, I guess, because my name came up so often and some of the things that I have done, and they chose me to represent the Asian American Pacific Islander. So I was very, very humbled by it. And I say, it's only God. It's really God that made that possible. It was, and I'm humbled by it.
You're well deserved. Very deserving.
I really like that community involvement, because I believe the education she's getting out helps everybody get the information out.
Yeah.
Help everything, that community involvement.
Yeah, especially the voting part.
Yeah. And a lot of people, because we hear so much controversy over Obamacare. And a lot of people don't realize, if you were in that category that didn't have health insurance or can afford to go to the doctor, they don't understand the significance of Obamacare for millions of Americans. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yes.
That he stood that up for millions to have health care. And I think that's one system that we do need to revamp is our
Yes.
health system.
Mhm.
Especially when you compare to other countries,
Yep.
How they
And
could
it's
go
so much
for
better.
free and their medication is so much
Mhm.
cheaper. We got to get to that place where every American can go in and afford medicine, can see the doctor. So I can't wait for that day to come. Maybe you can
Yes.
put that on your list too.
Thank you for adding to my list. But whatever challenge comes up, I always ask Holy Spirit to help me through it, and He does. And so I love the challenges that come. And one of the things that I have found, and you had mentioned it, and I think among you, whenever you're angry about a situation in your city, in your hometown, and when you're angry and you don't do anything about it, when you know what is right, that's where it's wrong. You need to be civically engaged. And I say this, and this is how I talk to the people. Don't grumble. If you're not going to help with it, don't grumble. Just zip it because you don't have a right to grumble.
Right.
So I ask people to be engaged, to talk, first of all, to meet amongst themselves, find out what is it that we can do? Who can we go and see? So we knock on doors, we go as a group. I have no fear. I have no fear. I can go and see somebody by myself. But that's not as effective as having hundreds of people with me knocking on that door. And when they see little me, and then they see the hundreds behind me, beside me, around me, of course they're going to listen, right? That's what I love to do. And
Yeah.
that's what I do.
Yes, I like what you say. If you cannot be the solution, at least don't be the problem to cause,
Yes.
And we have things going on in our life, but if we cannot be the solution to the problem, just don't do nothing, just to stay back and don't cause.
Mhm,
So that's really good.
Yeah. Just say
mhm.
it or do something.
Yes. If you cannot do it, at least don't be helpful. Don't be the problem.
Well, well, that's why the power of the vote is so important. The power of the vote, because when you have an issue and your particular congressman or senator isn't helping you or doesn't care to help you because they're either selfish or they're not listening, they forget that they were voted into office,
Yes.
and you have to remind them, hey, we're here, we're your constituents, listen to us, please. And unfortunately, the almighty dollar
Yes.
has come into place,
Yes.
and they threaten us with that, and that's not a good issue. That is not a good issue, but somehow we're going to be able to overcome that, and by everybody getting involved with the thousands and thousands of people here in America, because we have millions and millions of AAPIs, millions. And we have found out that in this particular case here in Nevada, it was because of the AAPIs, the Filipinos in particular, that helped to push this senator over the hill and win her battle and got into position. How do I know that? Because we look at statistics. We look at statistics. Disaggregation of numbers of all of the AAPIs is very important. And so we asked for disaggregation, and so that we know where the Filipinos, the Chinese, the Vietnamese are in numbers. That's how we know that we counted. We counted. and we could go to the senator and say, see, these are the number of people that are registered to vote, and these are the number of votes that you got from us. So it's important to have statistics. And I say this to everyone, the leaders especially. If you're a leader, get to what your statistics are in your community. Get to know, to show the powers that be that the vote counts. Therefore, listen to us. Does that make sense?
That's so important. That is so important to me. But we're in an area that they don't really care. Let me say it. I'm gonna say it the way I want to say it. It's like they don't care. They focus on a party versus who's gonna do the work for you. That's where the education come in to me at, because they will vote for somebody just because they're a certain party, and I'm like, they're not even working for you, or you got them in this position and you will never see them, even though you invite them out 100 times, they would never come. But because they're a certain party, they'll automatically get that vote. And it drives me crazy in this area.
And the people we had to remove because they're just weren't a good person to begin with. But I know we are running out of time. Dr. Lee, thank you. You got me motivated. I'm ready to stand on the corner and get the vote.
We have been fed.
Great discussion. Thank
So
you.
she's in Las Vegas, right?
Yes.
All right. So if I come back out that way, I'm gonna look you up.
Yes.
Please do. Please do.
All right. So next week for Colorful Voices, we will have Brenda Vega on. We'll be talking about the Divine Woman. Great discussion. And also, as you guys know, our Mother's Day contest ends today. So we will be announcing our winners next week. We'll read their submissions. So we are looking forward to having you guys back. Thank you. And great discussion.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Lee.
Thank you so much.
We love you.
Yes.